Mark Smelly Bell here. What is the sugar diet and how do I do it? This is the definitive video you've been looking for. This is the place to start. I'm going to talk about the sugar diet and I'm going to try to simplify it to you guys the best I can. The way that I've been separating some of the things out the best I can in my own head, I'm just going to call it the Smelly Protocol. It's been my nickname since I was a kid. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not saying, hey, look, there's an ebook, it's $20 or you got to subscribe to this thing or whatever. So don't be scared when I say protocol, but I'm going to get into what the Smelly Protocol is of the sugar diet. So sugar fasting, let's start there, is eating the following things. And if you're not eating the following things, then you're not sugar fasting. So we're just trying to give like definitive terms. And it's okay if you're not sugar fasting. It's okay if you ate some pretzels and, you ate a starch or something like that, and you kind of diverted from the plan, or you're adding your own twist to it. All those things are possibilities, but they also might be things that might slow down your progress. And so that's why myself and Cole Robinson are trying to be cohesive with some of what we share, because we want to make sure that there's continued progress. So before I say the foods, let's start out by making sure you're very aware of this. Sugar fasting is no fat, no protein, and no starch. No fat, no protein, no starch. How many days will you do a sugar fast? Well, there's been some people who've done it for 5 days in a row. There's been some people to do it for 20 days in a row. Oh, wait a second. If I'm, doing that long and I'm not eating protein, am I going to lose muscle? Well, you could potentially lose muscle, but there's people that need to focus in on shooting the alligator closest to the boat. And the alligator is their body fat. The elephant in the room is you, bitch, right? You're the elephant in the room. It's obvious. And you need to lose weight, okay? We're not trying to sacrifice muscle, but there's a reason why protein is eliminated, and I'll explain it further. There's also other videos on this channel where I talk with Stan Efferding. I'm talking with Anabology. I talk to Durian Ryder. I'm talking to all kinds of different people, trying to make sure that I get this message out there and that it's as clear as possible. When you're mainly eating sugar, it's going to have some protein-sparing effects, some protein-sparing impact on the body. And when you're eating sugar in the way that I'm going to describe, basically in a surplus, or maybe it's not an actual surplus because I don't want to get into that argument, but it feels like it is, and you don't feel tired or drained. Remember the last time you lost 15 pounds, how you felt? Last time you lost 20 pounds, how you felt? Why you reverted back to going the other way? You reverted back to going the other way because you got tired. You felt like crap at some point. You felt fatigued. And even sometimes when you feel good, the cravings just get the best of you. So you're like, I feel still pretty good, doing this carnivore diet, or I feel pretty good with this like weight loss program that you selected where you're reducing your calories. That's not what we're doing on the sugar diet. So I mentioned earlier the no's, right? There's no fat, no protein, and no starch. But one thing you want to make sure that you do is you want to make sure that you consume a good enough amount of sugar. How will you know if you're consuming a good enough amount of sugar? Well, your energy should be high and the scale should go down. The scale should be trending downward. Energy should be high, scale should go down. If the energy is through the roof and the scale's not moving, then maybe you ate too much. Or maybe you ate too much of one particular thing. And we could discuss that a little further as I ramble through this, because we're going to open it up for a little bit of FAQ in a little bit here. Sugar fasting is the following foods, and if you don't eat the following foods, then you're not doing it. Sugar fasting is fruit juice, honey, maple syrup, and candy. I'll say it again. It is fruit juice, sugar, maple syrup, honey, and candy. I think I added table sugar in there. But anyway, that's like you got like 6 different things basically. And if you're not consuming those things, then you have disrupted or you are no longer sugar fasting. Remember when people used to talk about like a fasting window and, hey, is this going to interrupt my fast? You want to view this the same way. When you do a sugar fast, you're trying to be quote unquote strict with it. But how strict are we when we're eating candy? Like, that's pretty awesome. Let's make no mistake about it. The candy that we're consuming is healthy candy. I'm kidding about that. The sugar that we're consuming has zero fat, okay? Because we're not eating any fat. We're not eating any protein. We're not eating any starch. The candy that you consume, you still want to make sure that that doesn't have any fat in it either, because that stuff sneaks into everything. There's oils and seed oils and so forth in just about everything. So whatever it is that you purchase, it could be a smoothie, by the way. Smoothies are a lot of times have some oil in them. And there's some debate about this diet, and it's going to take time for all the literature to come out and all the information to come out. Some people are speculating you might be able to have a little bit of MCT oil on the diet, and some people are speculating that they don't think fat will really interrupt the FGF21 that the body might be producing, which some people think is behind the weight loss of everything that's going on. But let's just hold our horses here for a little bit. Some people are speculating that you can have collagen because it's absent of isoleucine, or you could have some proteins that are like gelatin that are super low in isoleucine. Those are all great ideas and concepts, but again, I'm trying to stick to a specific narrative so that you guys have continued weight loss progress. Now, I have come in and I have disrupted this space a bit of what Cole Robinson's been doing, and I have created a protocol. Let's just call it the Smelly Protocol. It's going to make everything way easier. Smelly Protocol of sugar diet, sugar fasting. We can also call this the sugar diet. I don't have any problem with that. And then sugar fasting is the specifics of those 6 foods that I suggested, okay? Before I move forward, how many days in a row can you do it? I just wanted to say that because I don't think I finished my thought on that one. There's going to be people that want to do this every other day, and that would be a great weight loss protocol. There's going to be people that will do this 2 days on, 1 day off. There's going to be some people that are going to run this for 10 days. There's one dude on YouTube that commented in my comment section. He lost 21 pounds in 3 weeks, which is 21 days. And he just sugar fasted the whole time. People have done this before with juice fasting and juicing, and sugar fasting to some degree has been around. But the way that we're communicating about it is new. Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, they didn't really talk about like consuming a ton of calories. That's what we're trying to ask people to do. We're asking people to let's use this as a tool. Let's use this as a weapon. Let's use this as a flamethrower. We're taking a flamethrower to the normal calories that you eat. And because we have this high-powered flamethrower, we're going to be burning through way more fuel than what you're used to. We don't just have a match. Let's say before you just had a little Bic lighter. You're like, you can never get those things to quite work. Well, now we got a flamethrower. And now the game has changed completely differently, because previously you had to eat 1,800 calories to lose weight. Well, now with this technique and with this method, you might be at 2,400 calories. That's what I'm seeing so far from this. That's the way it's working for me, and that's the way it's working for other people. I know. I'm Mark Smelly Bell. I'm on performance enhancing drugs. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to my life. I'm on them. I made a movie about it. I talked about how I'll be on and off of them the rest of my life, and that's still true today. I'll drink to that. That's the way I roll. But there's still people having tons of success. Look in the comment section. And then, rather than just looking in the comment section, hit some of these people up. Some of these people that might be on Instagram or something, or X, and they're saying they had great results. Hit them up. Say, hey, I think this thing's bullshit. Are you serious? You really losing that weight? Does this really work? What are you doing? Because that's where it gets to be really cool, because then people start to implement. And this is where I've wanted to be my whole life, by the way. Now people get to implement their own intuition. They get to implement what they feel is right for them. And that takes time. And some of you are going to be wrong, but that's okay. I'd rather have you try something that you think is worthwhile for you and be wrong than to just strictly follow exactly what I or anyone else says. That's what this shit's all about. I'm trying to empower people. Cole Robinson has come along and sprinkled sugar on everything. He sprinkled sugar on the fitness industry and sweetened everything up so people can be empowered, because people need to learn what is going to be correct for them. And I know sometimes people hate that narrative. It's like, no, if we all just do the same thing, like if we're all boom, in the military together, we're all going to lose weight and we're all going to be able to run 2 miles and so on, right? I get it. But we don't, in the real world, we don't operate that way. We're not in the military. And we don't need to be militant about stuff. This is the only diet I've ever seen that has come along where you can eat a really, really good amount of food and still see that scale go down. You might be hungry. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that you're not going to be hungry. Like, you might still be hungry, but hunger is good. Hunger means we're in the process of burning some fat, in my opinion. I think hunger can be kind of critical, but you don't have to be nearly as hungry because you're going to be able to eat more food. I'm also not going to lie to you and say you're not going to have any cravings, because, gummy bears and Sour Patch Kids are a far cry from a pizza, right? Or from a donut or a cookie. Sugar is awesome, but what makes sugar better? Fat. Fat is awesome in isolation. Like, they're both awesome in isolation. If I had to choose one over the other in isolation, I would probably want to choose fat. Bacon and omelets and ribeyes and stuff like that, I'd probably want to choose fat. But now that I know what I know now, I would choose sugar, because you can repeatedly hammer sugar more, and sugar seems to be a thing that's going to help titrate and adjust and manipulate your metabolism, your metabolic rate, and your insulin sensitivity, your ability to upregulate carbohydrates, your ability to keep your glucose levels in some sort of normal range in accordance to what you're eating. You're going to be able to not be insulin resistant. You're going to be able to be more insulin sensitive. The more sensitive we are with insulin, the more powerful insulin gets to do its job, which is to, hork some of those sugars that we consumed into our muscles, into the muscle cells. Now, I'm not great with the science of this, so I mess some of this stuff up here and there, and that's why I'm going to interview a lot of people about this topic, so that we can have people that are credentialed in this area to speak upon some of these things more than just myself. But something to know is that fructose, which is found in fruit and fruit juice and a lot of candy, fructose does not need nearly the amount of insulin that the other sugars need to get into the cell. So that's a pretty big factor, because we get to kind of train our insulin sensitivity via utilizing some fruit, because fruit has other sugars in it too that do require more of a signal of insulin from the pancreas. And so we get to lightly, gently train our insulin sensitivity. And I think the gentle part is a key factor here. I want everyone that tries this is the Start Here YouTube video. So share this with other people. Tell other people this is the spot. You want to know everything and you don't want it to be going on for 7 hours. This is the spot to be right here. You're not going to find a protocol that is going to allow you to eat the amount of food that we're eating on this diet. And then also, because I'm talking about mainly sugar fasting so far, when you're sugar fasting, that is a tool that you can utilize anytime you want. And you can utilize it for 16 hours, or you can utilize it for a full day, or you can use it for multiple days in a row, as I was mentioning before. The Smelly Protocol. Smelly Protocol is sugar fasting throughout the day, and then having a lean piece of meat in the evening, and then having, with that lean piece of meat, some starch and maybe some vegetables. You're trying to get in some good amount of vegetables every single day on the Smelly Protocol, along with a starch, 2 cups of rice, half a cup of rice, 1 cup of rice, like just kind of have at it. Like if you want a couple servings of rice, that sounds fine with me. lean sources of protein, and your protein would be around 100 grams, or I'm sorry, my protein is at 100 grams. I weigh around 210 pounds. So you pick what you feel is going to be correct for you. I think half your body weight sounds like a good start. Literature on that, showing that you're not going to lose muscle mass and so forth, is way down. It's very, very low. It's like 0.5 of your lean body mass. So that's a pretty low amount. And I forgot to finish one of my other thoughts earlier about when you are about losing muscle mass. I don't think there's any reason your body is going to go through the process of gluconeogenesis, the breaking down of protein, to break protein down and to put more glucose into your bloodstream when your bloodstream is full of sugar, your muscle tissue is full of sugar, and your liver is full of sugar. There's no reason for your body to do that with the protein. So I think it's going to be very protein sparing, and that's what we're seeing so far. Now, with all weight loss protocols, people are going to lose a percentage, and that percentage varies. They're going to lose a percentage of muscle mass. It doesn't matter what protocol you follow. And even if you're on performance enhancing drugs, that makes it less likely that you're going to lose muscle, but you'll still lose muscle. Talk to any bodybuilder and just say, hey, did you lose muscle on your last cut? And they'll go, whew. They'll be like, shit, yeah, I did. They always do. Even the guys that are, loaded up to the gills. You're going to lose some muscle mass with just about any protocol. But this protocol is interesting because we're full of glycogen. And I think we haven't seen people do this exact diet before. So the verdict is out, but it's a good experiment. And if you feel like you're losing muscle, just shift from sugar fasting into doing the smelly protocol. And you can also have more freedom than what I'm just laying out here. This is just a suggestion because I don't want to see people go completely nuts on their, quote unquote days off. You could also just have kind of a bodybuilding day, where your fats are like under 50 or 60. You're going to go higher protein. Maybe you go 1 gram per pound on that day because you're not getting any on the days that you're doing your sugar fasting. That all sounds really reasonable. You start to curtail it and you start to change it and slightly adjust it just for yourself. Now we're going to rip through some questions and hopefully we'll nail down everything you need to know about sugar fasting and the sugar diet.
I just have a couple follow-up questions about things you mentioned earlier. You said something about collagen being low in isoleucine and that being a good option for people on the sugar diet. So what's the problem with isoleucine?
The problem with isoleucine, that's a great question. So we're trying to piggyback off of this FGF21. Cole Robinson and myself, we both believe, we collaborated, and we both believe that there's a lot more things going on than just this FGF21 that's getting released by the body. But FGF21 seems to upregulate the metabolism. It seems to have a good positive impact on our insulin sensitivity. And so we don't want to basically think about it like ketosis a little bit. Remember when you're keto and you got bumped out of ketosis? We don't want to get bumped out of this FGF21 spot. And I'm not even really saying that I'm looking at it that way because I think it's too nerdy and too much to really think about sometimes. But you do want to, when you're testing something, this is a big experiment we got going on here. And it happens to be working tremendously well. And so let's not screw with the recipe that Cole Robinson already laid out for us with sugar fasting. I'm saying I believe that you can have some collagen. We're going to be talking with some people coming up that are going to give us more information on the things that we can still do on this diet. There's some speculation you might be able to have some MCT oil on the diet and stuff as well, and it might provide a little extra energy and also just give your body a little bit of fat. The guy that created MCT oil, he used to say, John Perillo, he used to say that he didn't even count MCT oil as a fat for the bodybuilders he coached on stage because it just turned into ketones. That was more from him than me, but that's interesting. I have not ventured out to do any of that just yet. We also had somebody else saying, hey, a little bit of omega-3, with each meal might not be a bad idea because omega-3s are amazingly powerful with helping with insulin sensitivity. So these are all things like once you get moving on this and once you get that scale to start moving downward, and let's say you drop 10 pounds and you want to start to experiment. Let's say you're already pretty lean and you just want to try what I'm talking about. Give it a shot, give it a try. But isoleucine is something that could potentially bump you out of what we're trying to do. And we're trying to sit in this, we're trying to saturate, I guess you'd say, saturate our body with FGF21. If you look up stuff about FGF21, what you'll find is that people that are obese seem to already be somewhat saturated with FGF21, but I wouldn't really worry too much about that. That's the same thing with someone who's obese being saturated with insulin and then thinking insulin's not effective or thinking that insulin like is making us fat. It's not the case. It's just that those people aren't as sensitive to FGF21, and we need to figure out a way to get them more sensitive to it. So those are some of my thoughts for now, but throw in a little bit of collagen. And look, you get back to like a, almost like a souped up version. I guess it'd be a different version of a bulletproof coffee, but like you could do like a decaf coffee. I'm trying to get away from caffeine. I still have some caffeine here and there, but I usually have decaf coffee. But you could make like a coffee with collagen and a little bit of MCT and some honey in it, and you could be off to the moon. That could give, and you could be like, well, shit, that has all three. That has all the macros in it. But it could be a way to circumvent knocking down that FGF21 that we're trying to hold in high regard.
So Ken Berry made that video yesterday and basically said that the sugar diet was no different than the standard American diet. So I guess if you could just talk about why these two diets are not even closely the same.
The biggest issue, the reason why people are fat is because of fat. It's because of an abundance of calories, and most of that is coming from fat. Fat has 9 calories per gram. Carbohydrates have 4. Protein has 4. So fat is more than double the calories, right? But if you were just to take every American, and let's just say you can wave a magic wand and go, and that wand had the power to make every day from the last 5 years, it had the power to make every day from the last 5 years only have 50 grams of fat in your diet, everyone would lose a crazy amount of weight. It would be obscene if you could do something like that. It's because the fat calories are the ones that they all count. All the calories count. And there's not like a specific macro split that we've seen except for this one. That really lends itself to weight loss like crazy. I mean, this is tracking just as fast as Ozempic, which is crazy. And people are more scared of sugar than they are of Ozempic. It's really interesting. But back to the standard American diet. Standard American diet, people have like 16% protein. The carbohydrates are through the roof, but the fat is also through the roof. So bread doesn't necessarily make us fat. Although bread could slow down progress for a lot of people, even if they didn't eat it with fat. But bread is more of like bread is like a bus, it's like a shuttle, it's like a train. And you're shuttling a lot more calories in than you normally would because, bread is so much better with butter on it. Like bread's awesome, right? Bread is so good. And yeah, okay, it'd be good to put jam or something on some bread. Like that's kind of cool. But it's not nearly it's so good with butter, right? So the standard American diet has a crazy amount of fat. People aren't going through the drive-through and, just selecting like one macro. Sometimes people do, right? Some of the carnivores do and stuff like that. And that can be a way to manage weight. I want to make it clear that those other diets that are out there, keto, carnivore, and even tracking your calories and if it fits your macros, those are all other strategies. Like this is a strategy. And I think that specifically sugar fasting is just a really powerful tool. I've been comparing it to jiu-jitsu. Do you remember when Royce Gracie came into the UFC? No one knew what to do. And even when he beat Ken Shamrock, I think in like the second or third UFC, Ken Shamrock gracefully said, I need to learn jujitsu. And I think that's what's going to happen with sugar fasting. I think all these influencers and all these people, they're going to have to recognize, holy shit, my clients are jumping ship. They are now sugar fasting intermittently on other days, and they're doing carnivore on the other days or whatever. And these are all things that you could probably do and have great success with, because the sugar diet can pull a pound and sometimes 2 pounds off of some people in like a day. It's wild. That's absolutely nuts. And so other people in the industry are going to be forced to talk about this. Other people in the industry are going to be forced to not only talk about it, but to learn about it. And foolishly, so many of these people, shame on you, by the way, shame on all of you, for making videos about stuff you don't know anything about. Like a response video about something you don't know shit about. What a fucking asshole some of these guys are. Like, just, that's just ridiculous. I've been making videos. I edited over 1,000 of my own videos on the Super Training 06 channel. There's no person in the history of fitness that's been filmed more than myself. For my own doing, by the way, because I pay people to film me, but there's not one video out there. There might be some videos of me trashing some people, don't get me wrong. But there's not one video out there of me knocking down something that I don't know anything about. That just seems foolish. It seems immature, and it's not empowering. Like, we got, if I was to tell you, look, man, training with a sled is the greatest thing, sled training. It's all you need. Well, don't shoot me down just because I said it's all you need. Why not you focus in on the fact that it could be beneficial, and the fact that, like, oh, well, a sled's like really hard to hurt yourself with a sled. If you just walk back and forth with a sled, you can build muscle and so on. But instead, the second that people get the opportunity, they want to try to go in and they want to shoot shit down. But I'm Mark Smelly Bell. I'm used to this shit. I'm the first man through the wall, and the first man through the wall gets bloody. I'm a pioneer. I'm going to continue to be. When people keep saying, why do you keep jumping ship? Oh, you changed so much over the years. Fuck yeah, I have. I want to change. I want to be better. I want to improve. And the only way for me to improve is to challenge my previous beliefs. I hope that this diet, I hope the sugar fasting, sugar diet, I hope it flies in the face of every single thing that anyone's ever thought about fitness, anything anybody's ever thought about diet and health. I hope it disrupts all of that, and I hope it pisses people off enough to look into it and to investigate it and to do a deep dive and say, is there something to this? That's what someone with intelligence would do. But someone who's fucking dumb would open up their mouth early before they found out. Again, the proof is in the comments. This is about the people. This is not about industry. This is not about money. This is about people. This is about trying to help people out. People are sick. People are obese. My fucking mother died at 69 and it still hurts every day because she was overweight. She was obese. My whole family's fucking fat. I know so many people that I love and care about are fucking fat, and I want to help them. And this has nothing to do with trying to sell some fucking protein shakes on the side. This is about making an impact. How do you make an impact? You make an impact by being a disruptor, and not just, haphazardly being a disruptor and being an asshole, but you do so by continually looking into stuff and just wondering, I wonder if that would be, I wonder how that would work. Wow, that's super interesting. The guy, we had a bunch of people on the podcast recently talking about holding your breath. Holding your breath's not great for you, right? Well, but maybe it is. Maybe there's like a lot of benefit to holding your breath. What about blowing out all your air and then holding your breath? Like, seems super dangerous, right? It seems like it has some really positive health outcomes. What about taping your mouth shut and trying to work out, or taping your mouth shut and sleeping? Seems dumb. Seems stupid, right? What about a little stretchy thing that you pull up over your arms and your elbows and it helps you with your bench press? Isn't that cheating? Why can't you just do it by yourself? I don't get it. A million slingshots later, right? I'm used to this. This is like my territory. This is where I like to hang out. I like to hang out where there's like a little bit of controversy swirling around because something's working. No one would care. If I got hurt, on the road to squatting 1,080, no one would give a shit. You know what I mean? There's, well, not no one. Obviously, people that love me, people that are close to me, they would care. But I probably wouldn't have made it far enough. I probably wouldn't have gone far enough. And I had to tell people, hey, what you're doing, people had to tell me, hey, what you're doing is unhealthy. You're not, you're never going to be able to squat over 1,000 pounds anyway. So what's the difference? Why are you even trying? Are you going to try to bench over 800 pounds? Are you fucking nuts? What about your blood pressure? What about how heavy you are? You're 330 pounds. Like, don't you care about your health? Don't you care about this? Don't you care about that? It's like, no, I was tunnel vision on those things for a period of time to have those experiences and to nail down some of those things so I could become more accomplished and so I could continually scale up and continually feel better and better and better about myself. It's a mission of personal development. Anyway, I went a big rant, but next question.
How much protein do I need to make the diet work or to preserve muscle?
I think this is going to be like a learned thing. It's going to take a little while. But I'll just give you like a protocol and just tell you like flat out that's the way it's easier. I think that if you sugar fast, and I'm just taking like average person, okay? So let's just say it's average person that's like a little bit on the heavy side, okay? Sugar fast more days than you don't. Sugar fast more days than you don't. Write that down. There's 7 days in a week. So sugar fast for 4 of those days out of the week until you're less fat. On your other days, it's up to you how much protein you want to eat. I'm not going to like sit here and regulate, but if you want to follow the Smelly Protocol on those other days, I would recommend having about half your body weight in protein, half your body weight in grams of protein. Weigh 200 pounds, have 100 grams of protein. Do you want to have more? Are you still hungry that day? Go for it. I would also suggest that you keep your fats modest to low. I'm keeping mine 30 or below, and I'm having good results. You don't need to be as strict as me. You don't need to try to do what I'm doing because I want you guys to be successful, and I want continued weight loss. I don't want binging. I don't want to hear anything about binging. And the only way we're not going to hear anything about binging is if I allow you some freedom. So what Cole Robinson's been proposing is, hey man, what you do on your off day is none of my business. I have a little bit of concern over that because I'm worried. I'm like, oh man, like I don't want to like just like let people go nuts and do their own thing, because I have concern over whether they'll be able to control that or not. But control and restriction is not a great place to live either. So the protocol that I'm going to tell you to do is I think you do 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, spread that out whatever way you want to. You do, 4 days a week of the sugar fasting. You can put that out whatever way you want. Like if the weekend's easier for you to do it and so forth. Like I don't know your schedule, right? 4 days a week, 3 days a week, use the Smelly Protocol. And on one of those days, or let's say 2 days a week, use the Smelly Protocol. And then on that, you got 1 day a week, okay? 1 day a week, go for it. What I would like you to do on that day is I would like you to have a really good workout. You don't have to work out twice or 3 times, and you don't have to get 10,000 steps in and work out, and you don't have to do all that. But I would love, if you're going to have a day where you're going to cheat a little bit, why not have a great workout beforehand? And then whatever style workout you want. If it's a hypertrophy workout, it might be kind of more beneficial because it's going to help chew up some of the carbohydrates that you might have in the pizza and different things that you eat. But a cardio session's fine too. Like just whatever. I think it'd be great if you got a workout in. And maybe like for you, maybe the best thing to do is to restrict it to one meal. That might be a possibility. Like for some of you that really have trouble and you really struggle, you can tell your wife, hey, I'm doing this diet Sunday. You and I are going to go to that restaurant. Don't let me stop at the convenience store and buy peanut butter cups. Don't let me stop off and buy ice cream. Make a pact with somebody. Tell somebody about what you're doing, But again, to be totally honest, like having freedom is really important. And a lot of times when you give people freedom, when they're having success, they're actually going to behave way better than you think. The other thing that's interesting is, and this is something to keep in mind, if I tell you to do whatever you want on a particular day and you're on a ketogenic style diet, you've been like super low carb for a long time, 14 days, depleted of carbohydrates, you've been training hard, and I tell you, okay, this Saturday is the day, like go ahead and get after it. You've been high fat, low protein, low carb, that's the ketogenic diet, and you've been in ketosis for a while, you're going to feel like it's going to be the equivalent of feeling like you're trying to hold your breath underwater and then seeing how long you could just hold your breath until you get that next cheat. Even while you're cheating, even like as soon as you finish that last slice of pizza and you're like, oh, is there any more pizza? And you're like, oh shit, there's none left. Mind, boom, just immediately switches to like, what else do we have? Oh, those Cheez-Its that we have in the, cabinet, like I'm going to eat those. And you're going to tend to want to do that more when you're going on a diet that has more restriction. Most of what we crave, a lot of what we crave, not all the time, everything for everybody, but a lot of times what we're craving is sugar and salt. Sugar, salt, and even water. We kind of don't even realize it. You heard people talk about that before, like, oh, drink a glass of water. You're like, what the fuck? You're like, I want ice cream. But it can these are things that can actually assist and help you because your hunger signals come from a lot of different things. And the body gets like restless and it's like, let's get some sugar. And then you're thinking sugar, you're thinking donut. And because the donut tastes great, but you might be able to solve that donut craving with your favorite non-fat sugary candy. And again, hopefully you're also seeing my point. It's like you're not going to a shitty diet where you have tons of restriction. There's no calorie restriction on this diet. Like, don't calorie restrict. I would say just don't even count calories. If you're going to count calories, I want you to only count them in respect to whether you're eating enough. And whatever you thought you were supposed to eat before, I've had a bunch of females and males hitting me up telling me like their calories that they normally have, and they're so low. I'm like, oh, a couple girls have said like 1,200, 1,300. I'm like, who could live off of that? Holy shit. That's crazy. So whatever you think your calories are, if you do want to count or track, which again, I'm not recommending that you count and track. I don't like it. I never loved it. But if you are going to track, make sure you're just tracking to make sure that you consume enough rather than trying to eat little tiny bits of food. All those things are going to add up. They're all going to cause craving and hunger that we don't need on this diet. That's not what this diet's about.
Is high fructose corn syrup allowed, or should I avoid it entirely?
High fructose corn syrup goes into the sugar category. So yeah, any and all. If you want to try to do this diet a little healthier, maybe you try to avoid some dyes and stuff like that. But high fructose corn syrup. I mentioned this to Cole Robinson yesterday. We had a great conversation that we did live. I apologize for my shoddy Wi-Fi. We're working on it over here. It looks like it's got good upload speed, but apparently we got to do something different to get a better feed for you guys when I do my live stuff. But yeah, I was mentioning to Cole. Oh, what was the question again? I forgot.
It was about high fructose corn syrup.
Oh yeah. I was mentioning to Cole that so many of the things that are artificial in our food supply are made with the idea of trying to make things as good as what is made by nature. I'm not saying that to say that I think that you should only consume honey. I'm saying that to tell you that high fructose corn syrup is like modeled after honey or modeled after regular straight table sugar. these are things that come from plants. And I realize, yeah, we adulterate them and we do different things to all kinds of stuff. But like with the idea of honey in mind, honey has the same or more fructose than high fructose corn syrup. So that's super interesting. But there are things to think about for those of you that really want to dive deep into the health space. And there's things like glyphosates and there's all kinds of stuff to consider. But again, I think we shoot the alligator closest to the boat. The alligator is you're too fat, and we need to figure out how to pull body fat off of you. We're trying to be less fat. The less fat that you are, not always and forever with everything, with everybody, but the less fat that you are, the better health outcomes you're going to have. So the dyes, the pesticides, the heavy metals, all the different stuff that's in our universe these days, they're not going to go away from just losing body fat, but losing body fat is a great detox of phytoestrogens and a lot of heavy metals and a lot of shit that's just been built up in the body. So one of the best ways to protect yourself in modern times is to actually look like you're from a few hundred years ago when people were thinner. We need that kind of look. We need a look of your face being pulled in a bit. Like we need that look of not that you don't have access to food. We don't need to go that far. But we need that look of like, oh, we don't have nonstop access to food all day long everywhere we go. And that's something that is noteworthy with the sugar diet, sugar fasting, is that you don't want to be blasting sugar all day. Try to actually have something that represents like meals or snack times. I'm not saying like set a clock and like eat when you're hungry and eat until you feel like you solve the problem of being hungry. Old strategies still are great. Check, like, do you have enough salt? Did you have enough water? Maybe go on a walk, like distract yourself a little bit from just being bored and wanting to eat. But I think we can all agree that it's not going to be a great outcome if you're just like blasting sugar all day. As far as a high fructose corn syrup goes, you want it, man. I think fructose for some particular reason seems to be like a gem on this particular plan. I'm just going to make some speculation here too and say, I think what's happening with this diet is that, I've said this many times, I said this years ago, but it's from a different perspective. I said, you're not going to find the amount of protein that you need at the bottom of a bag of Doritos. You're not going to find the protein that you need at the bottom of a pint of Ben & Jerry's. And the reason why I said that was you're eating in excess because you're not finding any protein. So I think what's happening here on the honey diet, sugar fasting, sugar diet, I think what's happening here, and what I'll propose, is that your body is rapidly wanting to burn more energy in an attempt to have you survive so you can go find some motherfucking protein. I believe that's what's happening. And when you start to get into this diet, this is why it might be preferable to do this diet for 36 or 48. You might want to do a full sugar fasting day and then the next day smelly protocol and so on. That would ensure that you're getting like around 36 hours each time, because you're going to break the sugar fast with a lean meat and a starch and some veggies at dinner. That might be preferable because I think there's a sweet spot with sugar fasting. And I'm going to learn more about it the next couple of days. I can't wait to share that information with you guys. It seems like once you get to like 16 hours or so of sugar fasting, that's where you start to feel really good. But it also seems like if you want maximum benefits, I think you're better off stretching that out to 36, 48, maybe even 72 hours. But I think a 2-day sugar fast is like not that bad for people. So right now, because my goal is to be 200 pounds, I'm doing sugar fast, 2 days in a row, and the next day is a smelly protocol. So for me, it's like, what, 2.5 days? You know, I'm basically sugar fasting for 2.5 days. Again, breaking the sugar fast with a lean meat source and with a starch. What are starches? Starches are basically potatoes and rice and things of that nature. One question that does pop up that I get asked is like, hey, can I have vegetables during a sugar fast? You can. It's just like you're not going to probably want them that much with the way your palate is shifted a little bit towards fruit. What I've been doing lately is I've been eating a good amount of cherry tomatoes. You know, those little tomatoes. I've been pouring balsamic vinegar on those. Those are nice. Those are like a nice little snack, nice little treat. It's nice to have stuff that's not going to just completely blast your glucose like into the moon. And so because of that reason, you might want to consider having vegetables here and there, especially to maybe slow things down a bit. That's not the goal of this diet. You actually want things to be fast acting, but a small salad or some veggies can really help diminish some of maybe like the jitters you might feel. I've felt some jitters before from this diet. I felt just like extra energy. And if you haven't felt that before, it's going to be a little different for you. And so just be careful, you know, don't just blast 300 grams of sugar and then like sit on your couch. You know, if you're not a real active person, if you're a big fatty, then you're still going to get a lot of benefits from this nutritional protocol. However, you might want to be, or even just someone smaller that's trying to lose some body fat, that's like kind of skinny fat, but you're not super active. Like, don't just blast a crazy amount of sugar and then just like sit there on your computer. Like maybe go on a walk, like just do something. If you had a big surplus of sugar, you could just use the 10-minute walks, as we've talked about forever, to help kind of regulate some of that glucose.
Let's see here. Should I eat in a time restricted window or just whenever I feel hungry?
Whenever you feel hungry is probably going to be, I have a feeling that this protocol will, it will like work itself out. So I don't think you need to be real strict with like times, but yeah, you should have like 2 or 3 main, sort of meals a day. And then when you eat, it's like time to eat. So that's the way I like to eat. I like to eat like a good amount when it's time to eat. But yeah, like grazing all day on sugar, especially if you're doing it in large amounts, it's probably not a great idea. I guess if you're doing it in smaller amounts, then that might be okay. You know, to kind of have the morning time be like, you know, where you're just grabbing a little bit of fruit here and there. That's probably not a horrible way of doing it. But anyway, the main way to do it, I think, is to have, I would say, like maximum amount of like feedings for a day. Like you just think about every time you consume calories being like a feeding rather than just thinking about eating. Think about feedings. And every time you have a feeding, I would say like, let's just try to keep it like under 5, you know, for some of you guys and some of you people that are just hungrier, you know, keep it like under 5. And if you can keep it to like 2 or 3 would probably be preferable. For myself, I probably do about 4 because I eat before I work out, eat after I work out, and then I usually have like a lunch and a dinner. And before I work out, it's usually breakfast. After I work out is usually not even like lunch necessarily because I work out in the morning. And then yeah, I'll have kind of like a late-ish lunch and a dinner. And I used to call that like a double dinner. So I kind of still do that with the fruit.
How does the sugar diet compare to juice fasting from that movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead?
They're similar. Yeah, they're very similar. Like this, the biggest difference is like you don't need to get fresh produce, so you can get canned, jarred, or frozen fruit. Canned, jarred, or frozen fruit. Yeah, and you don't have to like, you know, buy like organic from farmer's market and stuff. You can do that if you want. That's great. It's not a bad idea. And I don't have a lot of experience with juice fasting like that, so I don't know a crazy amount about it. I do know that there's probably more calorie restriction going on with that because they're also blending up a lot of greens. But I'd rather do stuff the way I'm doing it, because I can make my smoothies taste so good. I haven't gotten a smoothie from a store yet. I kind of want to, because it's nice to have somebody else make it, but I just keep going back to my house because I'm like, I'm going to make it way better than they're going to make it. I'm dumping some sugar in there. I'm dumping some honey in there, dumping a little cinnamon in there. Just a note, like when you blend up frozen fruit, it's just not that many calories. So you'll probably have to dump some juice in there. You're not intentionally trying to like cram calories in, but you do want a good amount of calories because of what I said earlier. The human body reacts to stuff kind of late. And so if you, if you only had like 300 calories and now it's like 7 p.m., well, that's where those cravings and stuff start to come in. That's where the fatigue starts to come in. And that's where the bad decision making starts to come in. So, make sure when it's time to eat, make sure you're eating. For some of you, that might be you have 800 to 1,000 calories. Easy, For some of the rest of you, maybe it's 500 or 400 calories. But I think, we need to put at rest this idea of like, just eating this little tiny thing that's got like 100 calories. Like let's kind of go for it a little bit more. I do think that you can get something from, a tablespoon of honey or two. But I think, just in general, I think we need more than that to really get our engine moving fast. And just as a small example of what food can do for you, I got here this morning at like 8:15. We interviewed Eddie Hall, former World's Strongest Man. And, I had a little bit of time for like a workout. I wasn't really feeling like doing a workout because I'm pretty sore, pretty stiff. And I've been working out really hard, but I knew I wanted to work out and do something. I start messing around with the assault bike, and 5 minutes later, I'm full on in a hell of a battle of a workout. And that's from the sugar fasting. The same thing happened the day before. I started doing these sandbag carries and then sandbag loads, and today was the assault bike, and I was hammering some heavy rows and some heavy med ball throws in between and some farmer's carries. Like I've just been going nuts. And when I'm done here today, like I have an interview coming up where I'm interviewing Anabology for this channel, which I'm super excited about because he's one of the OGs in this space too. After I do that, I'm going to my home gym and I'm going to lift, and then I'm going to chill for the rest of the day and just hammer a bunch of sugar and start everything over the next day. But that's the way I've been rolling on this. And if you get your energy right, you're not going to have cravings. You're going to feel full. You're going to feel awesome. There's really not that many things to like think about or worry about. Like I do have a lot of people ask me like, oh, what if I have, an autoimmune, or what if I have, type 2 diabetes? I would just say, just try it. Like literally just try the sugar fast. Don't do anything irrational. Don't do anything crazy. Go into this gently, go into this slowly, and just try it. Have a smoothie, but don't have a smoothie that's got, 787 carbs in it. Have a smoothie that's got, 250 calories or something. It's got 100, maybe it has 100 grams of carbs. And that would be what, a 400 calorie shake or something like that, right? So try stuff like that. And even before you dive into like having a smoothie that has like sugar poured into it or anything like that, just try like a little bit of juice. Try, a few handfuls of blueberries if you're like diabetic or something. Try some of these things out, see how you feel, see how it works. Most likely within a few weeks, you'll be able to recalibrate your blood sugar to where you should be feeling awesome. I'm not saying it's going to work that way for everybody. And then also I can't recommend Cole Robinson enough. Like seriously, like find that guy and pay him to do a phone consult if you have some real health concerns, because then he's going to be able to communicate with you back and forth a lot better than me just giving out some like haphazard information. I don't want to see anybody get hurt or anybody get messed up. But I would say that I don't think that sugar or sugar fasting is even remotely close to as dangerous as some of the pharmaceuticals that people are prescribed for diabetes. So I think for each person, you want to do your own research. Like, don't just listen to me. There's a bunch of other people to follow. More people are talking about this. And the more people that talk about it and the more people that do it, the more feedback we're going to get. So somebody did mention on Reddit that they started a forum over there. I don't know anything about Reddit, but you can try to go check it out. Sugar fasting, sugar diet, and talk with other diabetics that are trying it. That's kind of the best way to move forward if you have any sort of health ailment.
Cool. This is pretty good, probably a good stopping point.
Thank you guys so much for following along. I really appreciate it. That's nearly everything you need to know about sugar fasting. And if I have to, I'll make a part 2 of this. But remember, I said this is the starting point. So please point people to this. They can come and check this out. There's also Skeleton City, who maybe Ryan, you can bring up real quick. Skeleton City made a pyramid. So if you go to his YouTube channel, you can probably just scroll around. You'll see he made a pyramid. And the pyramid might help people. He made a tier system that shows people. If you click on the video, maybe, yeah. He made a tier system, and it was 1 through 5. And there it is. And the top tier basically means you're full on sugar fasting. And then tier 2 is like you're maybe doing the Smelly Protocol, a sugar diet, where there's some starch in there, and then so on and so forth. Ryan, I don't know if you can read. Maybe you can read a little bit of that before we get out of here with the different tiers.
It says tier 1, the bone zone, sweet fruit, juice, sugar, vegetables. Tier 2 is all of tier 1 plus starches, so rice, pasta, bread, potatoes, oats, grains, etc. Tier 3 is all of tier 2 plus
kind of hard to tell.
Plus light fat and protein, avocado, nuts, tofu, beans, lentils, lean meats, etc. Tier 4 is cheat meals. So that's indulgent stuff, pizza, burgers, beer, cookies, donuts, etc.
Yeah, and the fatter that you are, the less time you spend in tier 4, and the more time you'll need to spend in tier 1, and so on and so forth. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later. Bye.